everybody, and welcome back to Upshift Creek, the Formula One podcast with me, Ollie Pettigrew, and my amazing co-hosts Nick Calderone and Ryan Sander. Welcome back to the show, guys.
Vroom, vroom, bitches.
You've got to get it in there. I love it. Today, we're going to be talking about the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix that happened in Jeddah. But I think before we get started, the proper thing to do is if we could just have a moment's silence for the Saudi Arabian national anthem.
What happened? I'm unaware.
If you didn't watch the pre-race show, you're welcome.
Oh, yeah, I did not.
Oh, God.
Wait. Is it supposed to sound like that?
I don't know if they got a bunch of 10-year-olds to play this at a high school reunion or something, but keep watching the drivers. Try not to laugh.
Russell's face.
Oh, that's so bad. Oh, the kids are singing. That's cute.
And look at this.
Yeah.
Was that as bad as McLaren's performance or what?
It was definitely in the same realm as McLaren's performance. But yeah, that absolutely lit up in the memes. Of course, always the best place to find the F1 memes is Formula Dank on Reddit. And while the race may have been not the most interesting race that's ever happened in F1, the memes have been hilarious. And we will be getting to those a little bit later.
I'm going to say Jeddah was boring. It was outright boring. And I love Formula One. I mean, everybody, all those other cars just moving aside for the charging bulls. What is that?
Well, we did have an interesting race for 4 laps. Okay, opening lap, Alonso goes up the inside. We're all like, this is what we're looking for. Alonso's at the front, Verstappen's at the back, and the FIA is going, are you having a good time? Great. 5-second penalty for Fernando Alonso because he was a bit too far to the left.
Yeah. I mean, I get why they did it. They had to do that. You can't just line up anywhere in your grid box. And it was awesome to see that the Aston Martin has the performance that we hoped they did, and Alonso is driving the wheels off the thing. So yeah, okay, I got a 5-second penalty. I'll pull out a 5-second plus gap. No big deal.
How often does something like that happen? It seems like if you're doing the formation lap as you're pulling up, it seems like a pretty big thing to miss.
Right.
Far over.
It happened. It happened just a few weeks ago.
Wow. It's almost like they just basically couldn't come up with a script for this race and went with the exact script from last race at the same time. Let's get someone out of position on the grid. Let's have somebody serve their penalty wrong, which we'll be getting back to as well. But yeah, race died. Alonso's in front, 5-second penalty comes in, and then 3-4 laps later, Checo gets him, and at that point, Checo is off to the races. And in fact, it looked like he would completely dominate until things finally got a little bit interesting with that safety car.
What? Yeah, and so it's funny you mentioned, it's funny you mentioned, Ollie, you could have, the FIA script, because where in the world of F1 does a car that pulls into a safety pullout require a safety car? It was ridiculous. It was like the FIA was looking at that and saying, about 6 inches of his rear wings hanging out onto the track and nothing's happening. Send out a safety car to me.
Well, did you hear what their reasoning was behind it? Because it has come out and the FIA said, well, unfortunately, we probably should have done a VSC instead of a safety car, but we didn't have cameras down there. It's Formula One. There are cameras everywhere. There are thousands of cameras. There are live cameras. You can have cameras on board the car. If you're listening to the Sky Sports commentary, press the red button and you can get whatever you want. FIA, maybe you should subscribe to Sky Sports or something.
Oh, you took the words out of my mouth. Exactly. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was ridiculous, but it did add some kind of intrigue to it. It's frustrating, and you knew it was a bit boring when they were focusing on the Piastri-Norris battle at the back. Yeah. Those two McLarens could easily be mistaken for traffic cones.
Yes. Well, honestly, if you want to talk McLaren, let's talk McLaren, because the very opening lap, Piastri takes a chunk of his car, gets thrown off, goes all the way to the back, hits Norris. So both the McLarens have to pit for repairs before the race has basically even started. And then, yeah, Nick, you're completely right. The last 10 laps of the races, because Checo and Verstappen are so far ahead, everyone's sitting alone on the track, apart from Sargent, Piastri, and Norris. So they're like, well, the battle for 15th is what everybody wants to watch, right up until McLaren says, Norris, Stop racing, buddy. Stop racing.
Yeah. Now, how bad that come on. That was just frustrating. And it's sad to see how far McLaren has gotten it wrong. I don't understand how that happened. Williams is beating them. That Williams must feel fantastic right now.
Well, I will point out that some people on Formula Dank have said that, well, you know, McLaren did spend $18 million on a driver not to drive for them that could have been spent on the car. So I think we're seeing where that $18 million wasn't spent, while Danny Rick is at home going, yeah, just bathing in champagne right now.
Two big Foster stands, I imagine.
He's drinking out of his boots.
There you go. Yeah.
But, you know, keep in mind that that money gets spent on F1 in sponsorships, right? But what you have to also consider, and it was said years ago, I forget who said it, but, you know, win on Sunday, sell cars on Monday. You can go out and buy a Mercedes, a Ferrari, an Aston Martin, an Alfa Romeo, a McLaren. And if you're watching F1 and getting inspiration about which supercar you're going to buy, certainly not buying a McLaren that's at the back of the pack. Like that, whether take sponsorship out of it, they are flying the McLaren flag, as are Ferrari, Mercedes, and the others. That is a huge, huge hit to the McLaren name, if you ask me.
Definitely doesn't hurt Red Bull from selling cars, that's for sure.
When I buy a Red Bull race car,
they sponsor everything else, you know. Like, I honestly, does Red Bull just like launder money for the mob or something? They have so much money that they can spend on competitive diving. If they want to go downhill biking, if you want racing, planes, it doesn't matter. Red Bull's like, yeah, keep a sponsor, it's fine.
I guarantee not a single one of their like athletes has ever drank a single Red Bull in their lives.
Well, other than on the podium.
Correct. Yeah. Gosh.
Well, let's get back a little bit to that safety car, actually, because it was kind of weird for a lot of people. I was one of them that sort of Stroll pitted, came out the pits, immediately have a problem. And this safety car would, of course, very much help Fernando Alonso, who one is chasing from second, but also had that 5-second penalty. So everyone was like, this is a bit convenient, isn't it? And when the full safety car came out, everyone's like, that's a bit convenient, isn't it? Though the big downside to that was it allowed Verstappen, because Perez at that point was a full pit stop ahead of Verstappen, a full pit stop. And then the safety car happened, closed everybody up, and it was like, oh no, here we go.
Yeah. And it was status quo for the most part, you know, and it really didn't change a whole lot. And when you look at the finishing order, it's aside from Alonso up there, you know, fouling things up by himself, it's teams, it's Red Bull, it's Mercedes, it's Ferrari. They're finishing 2 by 2 as if they're going on to an arc. It's not quite the mix-up that I think everybody was wishing for.
Well, was anyone else surprised that Ferrari kind of fell off? I mean, like, I was expecting them to probably be where the Mercedes were. I love Ryan's face. I go, surprise the Ferraris. But like, you know, they had their own mistake for, like, yeah, Charles, again, chastising the team for not giving him the information he needs because, like, you know, guys, Hamilton is pitting and you're not telling me he's pitting. I could be pushing and I could, never mind. All right, fine. Let's race one goddamn race. Thanks a lot, guys.
Copy.
Xavier, come on. You must tell me these things. And he's like,
I'm going to try and use that.
Really?
I'm going to try and use that in like just casual conversation way when I get into arguments with people. They're just berating me and I just copy. Yep.
Too bad you couldn't proceed it with that little communications tone that comes on.
Yeah.
I know. I hear that tone all the time in my actual life. You know, that's Leclerc's first points of the season so far. I know it's only a second race, but first points are Leclerc.
Well,
and like 3 power units.
Well, it kind of feels like Ferrari are just like, even too many races. In just 2 races, how many Ferrari errors have we had?
Yes.
I've lost the count.
People have been keeping lists or something online about how many Ferrari mess-ups there have been. Ryan, have you got that?
Yeah, I have it pulled up here, and I was thinking about this earlier. I'm like, this is somehow more embarrassing than like unearthing your high school journal from when you were a kid and be like, yeah, let's see how cool I was. You're like, oh no. This is so much worse than I thought. But according to this, Ferrari screw ups 2023 in Jeddah. Number one, it seems like half of the team has already abandoned ship. Number 2, Leclerc will start the second race of the season with a 10th-place grid penalty thanks to the failed batteries that already consumed all of the slots available for the season. Number 3, both Leclerc and Sainz already changed the ice-out precaution, 2 out of 3 allocated for the season. And Xavi forgot to tell Leclerc to push under safety car to cover ham pit.
Well, I do weep I love the Ferrari boys. I really do. And I'm like, I love that car. And I'm not a Ferrari fan. I've rooted against Ferrari more times than I can count. But even I'm like, God, come on, give the guys a break.
I agree with you. But you know who else I feel even worse for is Norris. You know, just years ago, everybody was hailing this new kid, this new fast kid, Lando Norris. And he proved that he was fast pretty early on. And now they've just given him the keys to a garbage truck.
And he's being so polite about it, isn't he? He is. There's no shade thrown at the team, and he's like, "Oh, on to the next race." He must be seething.
You'd think, because he signed. Didn't he sign one
like a 5-year contract? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it was him and Leclerc, I think, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't have that info.
Leclerc's was like a 5-year with Ferrari, but like Norris did something like a 4-year. It was a pretty big one.
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet there was one person that had a worse race than Lando Norris, and his name is Lance Stroll. It's almost like Lawrence Stroll is going up to the team going, guys, you sabotaged the wrong car. You spoke the undercar. This guy's supposed to be the one winning. Dad, didn't you buy me an F1 team? Come on.
Yeah, that was frustrating to see because I'm not a Stroll fan, but I'm starting to really kind of dig the Aston Martin team, and I'm loving what they're doing. So it would be more fun to shake up the order if there were 2 of those green cars, you know, messing about with Hamilton's race and Leclerc's race and that.
You are not wrong. I love how when you said that, I'd love to have the green cars mixing it up with the Mercedes or the Ferraris, because no one's going to be mixing it with the Red Bulls, because there was one really sort of shocking little fact they dropped in the middle while the race is going on. The Red Bulls, once they're at race pace, were 1 second a lap faster than Ferrari, Aston and Merc, and 2 seconds a lap faster than any other team on track. Good God. Good God.
Yeah. Yeah. And not only you, it seems like every other driver and every other team is like, good God. And the hands have been thrown up. I mean, they just don't have an answer. Nobody's going to challenge them. Nobody's trying to fight with I'm going to change their name from Red Bull to Raging Bull, because everybody's just getting out of their way. They're not even trying to fight. And it's like, well, that's not what I'm here for.
True, but let's root for Checo, right? If we want to have a great season, everybody put your good luck onto Checo, because one, he shows that he can race. He can race in that Red Bull. He kept Verstappen 6 seconds behind him. And every time Verstappen gets a chance to screw Checo, he screws him. Max, we're not really interested in the fastest lap. I am. Terminator is coming for him.
It came down to the last lap of that race. He was like, he's going to get it. He's going to get it. I'm like, oh, man, he couldn't have. And so the only way Checo's going to win, that Max would take second, is if he just knocked him and Checo both out of the race at the same time. No one can win but me.
You know, it was interesting to see Checo's face in the
cool down room.
Yeah. It was like when he found out that he didn't have the fastest lap, he was like, he really kept his cool. Here's an interesting little fact. Checo will be this was the first time he's won a race with Verstappen in second place. Normally, you know, when he wins, Verstappen's not in the picture.
Yeah.
But this was the first time he beat him and legitimately beat him. Now, of course, Verstappen had that big penalty, but
but also the great little interesting fact they dropped in during the race that if things stay as they are and Checo wins, this will be the first time in something like 5 decades that a Mexican driver will be on top and winning the championship. And Verstappen goes, screw it. No, I must always be first. I am the one that is going to be winning. No.
Usually the only one that ever beats Verstappen is his father if he gets second place.
You see, Ollie, do not laugh at abuse. That is not fun.
I'm not. I'm laughing about how accurate that is, because that is how my brother described. Actually, okay, we're going to bring this up because post-race, everyone's talking about Jos Verstappen's face, but it's this one.
Yeah,
it's like, Checo's celebrating, and everyone in the entire world just puts Jos Verstappen like an NPC that hasn't loaded. My brother texts me, goes, "Wow, Jos is making the face he makes right before he starts beating Max."
Yeah. I mean, well, now we know, not that we didn't know before, but it's clear that Max, the cyborg driver, has cyborg genes from somewhere, and we just saw it.
He's basically, if the Iceland team from the Mighty Ducks became a Formula One driver, that's basically, yeah.
No, seriously, that was, I think, the biggest thing post-race, well, second biggest thing, because we're going to get to the biggest thing later, but was so many people pointing that out, that there's Checo, it's a big win, he's won it for himself. And you remember when Max won in Mexico and Checo got second, how Checo's dad is like hugging Max and congratulating him, and the exact opposite is Josh just pretends none of this is happening. He's just internally screaming and planning how angry he's going to be later.
Yeah, that was disappointing to see. You know, despite how dominant Red Bull is this year, has been last year, and has had their dominant streaks. This is another little interesting tidbit. Red Bull have only scored consecutive 1-2 finishes once before, and that was way back in 2009 at the British
Vettel.
And I wouldn't have guessed that. It seems like they are 1-2 all the time.
Right.
Well, you're right, but it's not. It's one and their other driver. It's the whole time when Max has been, Max and whoever else is in the Red Bull is somewhere, and then they get fired, and then we ruin that guy's career. He goes into therapy, and then, let's get Checo. He'll be fine.
Until I started watching this season, I didn't know there were 3 podiums. I thought there was just one for Max.
Well, if you want to speak 3 podiums, let's talk about Fernando Alonso. The guy is such a legend. He's got 3 podiums in 2 races.
Yeah.
He's come third, fourth, and third.
Right. It's a rare sight. You don't usually get to see that.
Well, yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the Fernando Alonso kerfuffle, because the FIA, I swear to God, guys, they can't get out of their own way. We have the exact same situation as Ocon, whereas like someone has touched the car, but it's different. It's a jackman. But they spend 35 laps not talking about it. And then at the end, we're all like, yeah, Fernando. And they go, oh, by the way, 10-second penalty. And then they give the trophy to Russell. Then Russell takes his pictures. Then Mercedes uploads those pictures. And then an hour later, they go, actually, by the way, they won the appeal and now Alonso's third again. Oh, ridiculous. So ridiculous.
Well, you got to give it to Aston Martin for saying, oh, no, wait a minute. They pulled up a bunch of precedents that proved that they were in the right. Alonso deserved that third place. So, you got to think of all of the different lawyering that was going on and happening as quickly as possible for them to, prove that there was not a clear statute in the regulations.
Right.
To should have taken his third place away.
Yeah, they're going to have to, because that's right. They brought something like 7 or 10 different instances where exactly the same thing has happened. You go, you didn't penalize them, didn't penalize them. And I will give them credit for owning up to their mistake, but they couldn't have figured this out. I mean, there was nothing else for them to do for the hour and a half of the rest of the race. Guys, come on.
Oh, God, Ollie.
They didn't have enough cameras, Nick.
Right. Yeah, they had to go to SkyQ to check a few things first or download the QR code or whatever they do. Yeah, that was one of the more bizarre things that we've seen. But these are the things that get highlighted in the regulations that, you just wouldn't have guessed. Interesting. Alonso, consecutive podium finishes for the first time since Belgium and Singapore in 2013.
Yeah. And then it gave him his 100 as well, his 100th podium.
Yeah.
That was so painful to watch on Instagram, right? And everything, because there's someone has designed, the graphic designer has got the Centurion thing and Alonso and all the celebrations and everything, and they post it, and then 45 minutes later they pull it down and they put up Russell, and then they put the other one back up, and I'm just like, the social media people must have been
Well, thank goodness. What else would we be talking about right now?
Too true. Yes, we'd be talking about Red Bull kicking everyone's butts as usual. But, all right, we have to now believe, we have to see and believe that anytime Red Bull messes up, Fernando is going to be there. That's what I'm saying. Fernando Alonso has the chance to win a race this season, and it's going to be one of those situations that Ryan was saying, where if the Red Bulls hit each other, they take each other out, their engines explode, aliens come down, Jos Verstappen assassinates somebody. It's like something's going to happen, and Alonso's going to get that win, and it's going to be the thing anyone talks about this season.
I mean, if that car gets any faster, he'll be just a hardcore contender throughout the rest of the season too. And he's so fun to watch drive. Like, I know I said this, I think, in the episode of the last, but just hearing him over the radio and now, like, just supremely calm he is like, it's fantastic to hear. He's such
You can.
Yeah.
You hear his smile while he's driving. He's different. It's almost like he's like, oh, I had this the whole time. I was just, sandbagging. I just decided.
tires look
I
good.
could race.
Tires look good.
Well, he's talking about himself. He's got a 4-year plan or something now. This guy's going to race till he's 50 years old. He's going to race until his own wheels come off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bring back Raikkonen.
Kenny, bring back. I know we should have like a Masters F1.
Yeah.
Bring back all the legends and throw them in some of the old cars and let's have a real race. Put the V10s back out there.
Yeah, I've been wondering about what Seb is thinking these days. Seb retired, gosh, just a season too soon. And how fun would it have been to have Seb and Alonso in that Aston Martin? And actually,
The pair of them?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'll tell you what Seb is thinking. He's thinking, wow, my vegetables are growing really nicely and I really hope that people are obeying the rules and I will freedom for everybody. He's just probably out there, he's probably donating his time to a charity right now that he didn't even realize the race was on.
What a waste.
The nicest guy in F1. I love that guy. And it's Sebastian Vettel.
Seeing all those videos of him after what is he doing with his retirement? He's just like sitting on a bench, playing with his kids.
Just getting a bunch of kids hang out.
The least stressful ever.
Once again, Haas not looking terrible.
No, they got a solid little race. Yeah. It's like, Nico and they came around. They were in the points, one in the points, one out or something like that, wasn't it? They did pretty well.
Hulkenberg was in the top 10 for a while, and I kind of thought, come on, brother,
It was great to see Haas get points.
good race here. And then unfortunately, they give you that false hope because they look great, and then they just can't seem to manage to hold the pace through the entire race. Now, is that driver conditioning? Is that the car falling off? Like that to me, when you get into the weeds of the nuances of F1, that to me is interesting. Where is the pace going as the race goes on?
As I was randomly just thinking, as you're talking about that, because you're talking about other good races, is that I think the award for best radio transmission of the race went to Yuki. Like Yuki losing to the 1 point, and what is it? Just no. That was it. It's like no.
I don't know if you all do this, but anytime, no matter what, anytime they bring his name up, whether they say Tsunoda or Yuki, every time I'm in my house going, Yuki, and I yell it out loud. I just can't help it. I love the name. I love that kid because he's just so pissed off and fiery in the seat.
I just assumed there was like a giant spider in his car or something. I don't know.
Oh, he took me. Oh no.
Yuki fact, he finished 11th in both races this year. So just outside the points, hopefully he'll start to score. A little disappointed in Gasly. I kind of hoped a little bit more for him.
The Alpines, I mean, it was what kind of sucked really, but was by the end of the race, you had, like we were saying, you had 13 drivers all racing by themselves. 6-second gap, 5-second gap, 50-second gap, 10-second gap were just alone on the track, which for Jeddah seemed so strange. And that's why, we're watching Logan Sargent, who had a pretty good race, and he just kind of dropped off. He was doing pretty well. And then, the two McLarens just duking around at the back. And so it was kind of like an F2 race. You had Piastri and Sargent having a good old time, and nothing else on track. It was so strange.
And there again, I wonder that drop off, like what we saw in Sargent, doing pretty darn good. Again, didn't stack the Williams. I'll give cheers.
Yeah. Yes. At Jeddah, which is like tricky track for everybody.
Right.
Oh my God.
Right. So, but is that just the rigors, the intense rigors of a full length F1 race? Is it just exhausting? And the knife edge that they're riding on, when you're talking about tenths, hundredths of a second per lap, if you just get a little bit tired or you start to get exhausted, is that where you begin to lose some pace?
Any hope for the Mercedes this year? I mean, 4th for F isn't bad. They certainly don't suck as much as they have. And I mean, Toto Wolff was being quoted as saying, there's no shame if the Mercedes ends up looking like the Red Bull, if it means we are fast. So even like Toto was like, all right, look, we did the whole no side pods thing. I think we're going to maybe rip off the Red Bull logo and maybe put Bread Bull on the side or something. It's like, why wouldn't you rip off the car? It's worked for Aston Martin.
Yeah, sure. Why not? You got to do something. I mean, are you just going to sit there and stand on your pride all season long, but take 6th and 7th home?
Like, to quote Toto, no. This is not right.
Mine.
While we're talking about Mercedes, Hamilton losing his longtime dance partner.
Oh yeah, Angela.
Yeah. And I think that's a big deal. That woman has supported him in a professional sense.
And his she supported him and his umbrellas.
Yeah, and his dog, carrying his dog, and she's been thrown in the water, and it's like, oh, one season of not winning. He's like, sorry, Angela, clearly it's your fault. Like, you gotta go.
Yeah, I mean, this is the Brangelina breakup of Formula One. Like that. I'm not kidding. I think that's a pretty big deal, and I think Lewis might be shook for a minute.
Well, even the FIA directors are like, who are we going to cut to when Lewis is doing something? How every time they just cut to Angela doing this, like, what are we going to do? Just cut to Tom Cruise next time? Come on.
Oh man, I want to see a little bit more excitement and guesses here why Red Bull are so fast. Have they truly figured out some kind of special sauce? Is Adrian Newey that much of a wizard?
Yes. I mean, we can all agree that Adrian Newey. So Ryan, Adrian Newey, he has been designing championship cars just for years. The guy is a wizard. So yeah, but I mean, it's Nick. It's just got to be like last season. Ain't broke, don't fix it. Made it just a little bit better. You know, they've just that little bit faster. I say little bit, but they are 1 second a lap faster around Jeddah.
We put more speed holes in the car.
Yeah, we put it the engine and I figured it out. You see, their accelerator, it goes to 11. Ooh, you know, everybody else's goes to 10. Yeah, well, ours goes to 11, so we just go that little bit faster.
The tub behind the pedal is like sunk in a little bit further.
They're just having their foot down.
1 second a lap is enormous in Formula.
It's like putting an F1 car on track with F2 cars. That's what I mean. It's like, so that's what I'm saying. Everybody that's listening to this or watching this, everyone subscribe to the Let Checo Win contest. It'll be really interesting to see what Red Bull does if Checo stays fast, because sure, Verstappen is a 2-time champion, but they're currently basically 1 point apart. Yeah. So who's going to get out of anybody's way? We're heading to Australia next. That's a great track. Melbourne is a great track, but unfortunately, kind of like Jeddah, there's a lot of full speed in Australia. You know, you got some, and that's not great for 18 other drivers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ollie, give us your best Australian voice.
Australian? Oh, Australian could do that, mate. I love Australian because, like, in English, no only has 1 syllable, but in Australian, it's got 4. No. Oh, no. No,
and you have to do a full body heat.
No, say it. Yeah. It's the only way you can do it. Oh no, mate. But all right, Nick. Let's you coined this last week. Let's stick with this. Your awards, right? Yeah. What's the best one called? Just the Upshift Award?
Yeah, the Upshift Award.
Yeah. Okay, all right. So who are we thinking with? I mean, we've got Perez holding off Max, winning from the front. It was pretty impressive. Fernando, winning third twice. You know, I mean, where are you guys landing on who was the best?
Alonso gets my Upshift Award. He's proven, and the team has proven they're not a fluke so far. So my Upshift Award goes to Alonso and Aston Martin, and my Upshift Creek Award is
Well, I've got some nominees for you before you decide. All right, I've got a few nominees.
Well, let's hear the Upshift from Ryan too. Let's go.
Yeah, who's your Upshift?
My Upshift, hands down, without even blinking, is for Yuki's scream. It's that alone just
yeah.
Actually, one of those every race.
That's right. Yeah, that would be great. That's actually gonna become my new ringtone.
I just did that.
And then for me, I'm gonna go with the Saudi Arabian band for the greatest national anthem ever played at Formula One. Okay, so Upshift Creek for the one that sucked. I've got my contenders here are McLaren.
Yeah.
And then we've got Lance Stroll for just being cursed. But I think my strongest contender is the FIA. So I'm going with the FIA. What do you think, Nick?
You kind of read my mind there. I was thinking the same thing. The FIA for just, bodging these rules again and causing chaos. I don't know if they're doing it on purpose just to get some headlines in the paper, just to get people talking about them. Maybe. But my clear runner-up for Upshift Creek is Lando Norris. I love that guy, and he appears at the moment to be heavily screwed.
Yeah, he's got no paddle, and he's Upshift. What about you, Ryan? Any contenders for worst story of the entire?
I mean, I was still trying to figure out the whole time. Like, I know it's a good thing when I have to when I see something and I have to immediately watch 7 YouTube videos to try and understand what I just saw. So I still don't understand why was it Albon who had a power failure and he just completely decided not to pit the car and Hal just goes casually slowly around. Rather, I didn't understand what the hell was going on.
That was because he had the chance to pit, didn't pit, and then drove the entire lap as slow as he could. But honestly, that would probably be because to stop anywhere else on track considering the FIA apparently don't have cameras anywhere, so they would have someone would have had to send them a telegram. They would have sent a horse out. They would report it back. Some smoke signals would have come in, and then eventually the safety car would have come out, or the safety donkey would have come out to lead them out. That was ass. Was the safety car just so that they could be an Aston Martin at the front for a few laps?
Too soon. Too soon. You would sit on that one. That's great.
Yeah, they go, yeah, but Orlando, I'm Aston Martin's number 3 driver. Woohoo!
Doing it. That car does sound amazing, though, doesn't it? And that thing goes around.
Whoa. Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, isn't that a sad state of affairs that in the world of Formula One, we talk about how great the engine sounds on the freaking safety car?
Yeah. Well, buckle your seatbelts because electric F1 cars are coming.
Well, they already are. It's Formula E. It does.
Yeah.
Sounds like a woman having a crisis, as Clarkson would say.
Nice cover. Good save.
Blame Clarkson. Yep. Clarkson's blamed for everything.
Yep. All right, boys.
Any other? Oh, hang on. This is the good memes post race. I think, like Ryan, you were saying last week, a big one was the Alonso having bigger celebration on the third step of the podium than anybody else. It's the exact meme. In fact, I will share it for those of you that are watching the video. There we go. Look at it. I mean, it's almost identical. You gotta love this. And then another one that I saw, which was really funny in the post race. Did you guys notice it when they got into the cool down room? Checo's there and he's chatting. He's chatting with Alonso. Max comes in, puts his helmet on Alonso's chair, and then sits in the winner's chair, which is Perez. It just goes, "Yep, no, this is my room. I'm sorry, you guys. It doesn't matter. I am still the champion. I am still the winner."
And what he did maybe it was a force habit.
That's your chair.
Just the force of habit. He's just so used to that chair. I don't know.
Notice that. That is savage.
I snapped a picture of that, sent it to my brother.
Is that just unconscious behavior, or is that just swing and dig behavior?
Yeah. Dude, at what point has Verstappen ever not made a calculated decision? No, I'm not letting Checo through in Brazil because we talked about this. No, I'm going for the fastest lap because it might not matter to you, but it matters to me because I'm going to be number 1. Yeah. That's what I think. I think the story that we're going to see this year, I'm going to touch on this real quickly, but I want to see friction between Checo and Verstappen. But Verstappen's used to being, no one competing with him. Checo has got to have got the message now that Verstappen is not there for him, isn't going to back him up, is not a teammate. He's the team captain, and you do what he says, and he does what he wants.
Right. Hey, I would like to know where Checo is in his contract with Red Bull. And, if he has nothing to lose, it would be awesome to see Checo just really nut up and go nose to nose with not only Verstappen, but any kind of team orders. He is fast. He can play the game. He's got equal machinery. So why not just go for it? He's been in F1 for now, how long?
Exactly. Yeah, he's been around for ages. What's he got to lose? I'm with you, Nick, because he was a hair away from being out of F1, pulled off one of the greatest victories in F1 from going from last to first, and then got that seat. But he's a couple of years in now. Yeah, he's got the credibility, because if he goes out and he absolutely slams against Verstappen and Red Bull got angry, now he's got the credibility to be an Alonso, to go to another team, get his payday, and finish out F1 just having a good time.
Yeah. He'll never have a better opportunity than he does right now to joust for the championship. So if I were him, Mr. Nice Guy, is last year's news. Get out there and bloody your nose.
He's got the car to do it, too. I mean, I think if he was on any other team, we wouldn't be having this conversation, obviously. But for real, that fact that he's in that fast Red Bull, he can, he's got the legs. Or the
All right, he's got the wings, yeah. Looking ahead then to Australia, Melbourne, great track. It's one of those ones I've actually always wanted to see a race. What are we expecting? Is it just Red Bull 1-2? Is that just it? Is that what we're thinking?
I hate.
It's hard to say. Yeah, it's hard to speculate.
Is it hard?
Yeah, no, I don't want. I wish I had some kind of beautiful nuance
for me,
but
yeah. If only there was a way. It's enough. Yeah.
I think Red Bull's on top again. I hate to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. It's that's it for me. I'm going towards the Latin side. My wife is of Latin descent, so now I'm all in on Checo. I'm all in on Fernando. I'm like, this is what I'm going. L plan. That's what I'm looking for. It's I just want to see something crazy or interesting happen, but I feel like we're going to be staring at a lot of Red Bull wings.
I've got one for you. What do you think Ferrari is going to mess up next week?
Okay.
Let's speculate on that. What could possibly go wrong?
Tire choice.
Everything goes wrong.
Tire choice.
Wrong tire choice.
Wrong tire.
Miscommunication.
Pull off. Yeah, put the wrong tire on the wrong car would be pretty good. Maybe stop in the wrong pit lane, it's like go somewhere completely different.
We should
what are we gonna do?
We could make like an Upshift Creek Ferrari bingo board for our listeners that you can play along with every race.
Right.
I love this.
Ryan, this is a fantastic idea. And not just Ferrari, but an F1 bingo board. Right
If it's an F1, if it's a drinking contest, none of us are going to make it to the end of the race because Ferrari, they're pretty impressive.
Well, no, they're going to be fast qualifying.
This is so good. Your bingo card could go from Friday to Sunday.
Oh, during practice. Oh, my goodness. Well, it's a good thing. I'm going to have to get myself another drink in that particular case. Fellas, this is a great chat. Oh, I mean, considering this was by far 10 times more interesting than the race itself. Which is great, which is why I love doing this podcast. Next one will be coming along most likely after Australia, though Nick and I have been talking about in the interim between races, maybe we could start having some guests on. We do know some people from the F1 world or some people that from the racing world, so we'll get into that and we'll see. Otherwise, keep an eye out for us or an ear out for us at your favorite podcasting place for the next episode of Upshift Creek. Ryan, you're awesome. Nick, you're the best. Can't wait for the next race. I'm already looking forward to it.